Good morning, Ringsiders. I'm here to give a little review on this week's Wednesday Night War, which obviously the ratings dictate that AEW won. But I'm going to be breaking it down, giving my thoughts and opinions, and saying who I feel personally won the night for me. So, AEW hadn't been live yet, but NXT had a couple of tests a week, shall we call them. So they were doing 50% on the USA network and 50% on the WWE network, as we all know, which was supposedly going to give NXT a little bit of a head start. So the guys was already kind of primed to being on live and national TV. So there could be an argument made for or against, and that could have worked against AEW. But half of the AEW talent have been on live TV anyway before, and live pay-per-view, so maybe not, but it's just a fact to consider, potentially. Some have been on like taped shows, but never anything live. Maybe one or two, like Pentagon and Phoenix might have been on a live MLW or a live AAA. So, yeah. Proud and powerful, formerly known as LAX and Impact Wrestling, have been on some of their live things, so that would have helped for them. But anyway, moving on, match by match. So I'm gonna try and do it in the match order of both shows. So the first match of All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite was Sammy Guevara versus Cody. I personally thought it was an amazing match. Felt a little bit short. Felt like they could have had a little bit more time out there, considering the match after wasn't very long, I believe. So, yeah. They could have utilised a little bit longer. It felt like some things on that show was undertimed and some things was overtimed. So I hope they fix that by next week. Because otherwise they are going to start losing this ratings war really, really, really fast. I get it was the first week. They've seen what works and they've seen what doesn't. So in my opinion, this is where they need to now learn from said mistakes. Okay. And then, so the first match of NXT live on the USA Network was Adam Cole Baby up against the Ultimate Bro, Matt Riddle. I personally thought it was a match that showcased both men. There was a lot of back and forth, and there was a lot of similar things happening between the Cody and the Sammy match, because both of the opponents had a great showing. Both of them were doing amazing. Both of them were showing off their athleticism. Both guys on both shows, all four guys on both shows, were making their match must see, in my opinion. But when it all comes down to it, bell to bell, the better match, as much as I hate to say it. Cody, Sammy, your match was solid, but Matt and Cole's match was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Pay-per-view style phenomenal. So the first match in the War goes to NXT. But then NXT threw in a little bit more sauce, a little bit more oomph after the match. Balor came home. Balor came back to NXT. Maybe for the star power that they've put in there, or maybe he's asked to be moved. I don't know what the crack is. But all I know is I marked the hell out when I heard his music hit. Because at the end of the day, that man is a legend. Legend in Japan and soon to be a legend in the States. He is a legend everywhere he works. So, let's get that one thing. So I was really happy to hear his music hit. And the stare down was so intense. And it's a match that I would love to see between them two, because to me, their styles are close enough. Sorry. Their styles are close enough to mesh to the point where they can have an amazing match. You know, Balor hitting the sling blade. Maybe Cole's tactics with the Undisputed Era are going to draw the Demon King, hopefully, out of him. Excuse me. Which I personally want to see. Demon King versus Cole for the NXT Championship. Match 2. I believe match 2 was Brandon Cutler versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Forgive me if I mixed that and the Hangman match up. I'm extremely sorry. It's human error. It was a few days ago now. So, MJF versus Brandon Cutler. I personally feel they could have showcased to us more of Brandon Cutler instead of just feeding him to the wolves. I don't like when guys are just fed to the wolves. MJF is an amazing character. Yes, he should have won. Yes, he should have submitted him. But if you want to build up your boy, Cutler, as a reputable performer, shall we say, you have to give him enough time to show that he's a creditable performer. You've got to give him a chance to be who he is. You've got to let him showcase to the AEW fans why he's there, what he can do, because he took so many years off of wrestling. Not many of us actually know who Cutler is. We know who he is from the books, but we don't know what his gimmick is, we don't know his character, we don't know his finishing move, we don't know his wrestling style. So I personally think they've done him a disservice, because it was the first time we've seen Cutler wrestle on AEW. So therefore, in my opinion, he should have been able to have gotten a bit more offense. That is personally what I feel. You guys don't have to agree, but that is my personal opinion. The second match, I believe, Hello, I was just searching for all of the matches. Sugar. Um, right, the second match was for NXT with Io Shirai versus Mia Yim. I personally think that match was stellar for them two ladies. They put on the show. But what spoiled it was the sheer amount of advertisements. There were so many. Like every 6 months. I mean, like every 6 minutes. It was like, I understand that you've got to make up for said advertisement free, but I would rather have a normal amount of adverts over having one every 5 minutes, so I can't watch them actually properly. I couldn't get into it. It was a great match. But as a viewer on TV, I couldn't get into it properly as a whole, simply because it's... Sorry, I just wanted to thought. Right, the match was great, but when they kept putting it in the corner, it kept taking the fans away from the wrestling. Because it makes it harder to focus on it personally. I tend to look at the adverts, or look at my phone, or go get a drink, or go to the toilet. So even though the match is still being played, I'm not actually engrossed in said match, which takes away from it, in my honest opinion. That's all I'm saying. In my opinion, it takes away from the match and it ruins it. They should do what Fox do. Full screen, put it up on full screen, then take it to a break, then bring it back to it. And during the commercial break, this, and this happened. Now back to the action in the ring. Now. Then I believe the third match on AEW Dynamite was Hangman vs. Page. I loved it. I loved every second of it because I love both wrestlers, and I think it could have been done a little bit better, but everything has its kinks. I personally think it could have gone a little bit longer. They could have showed off Hangman's athleticism a little bit more to kind of match Pac, because he's highly athletic and he's only a pound over being cruiserweight. He's a short built evil bastard, shall we say, because that's his whole persona. So I personally think that I enjoyed the match, but it was missing something. It was missing a spark. It was good. It just wasn't... How shall I put it? It just wasn't all there for me. It wasn't giving off enough. So then I move on to the Shane Thorne match with Johnny Gargano on NXT on USA. Oh boy, where do I start? Where do I begin? That match was horrible. It was pointless. I don't see any purpose. You could see that Shane was getting used to being a singles guy. It was just, in my opinion, it wasn't that good. It was watchable. Yes, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. It was average. It was solid. It was a solid match. It was filler. You could tell it stunk of being filler. I hate matches who stink of being filler. I know there's going to be filler matches, yes. But you can at least try and execute them in a way that they just don't stink of being a filler match. Because in my opinion, it takes away from everything. It doesn't add. It doesn't add to the match. It makes me think, when is this match going to be over? Which is a really, really sad thing, I know. But when you are given with nothing to work with, nothing to latch onto, there were certain spots, like when they were trading a submission, I loved that, yes. But then there were part of the matches that you could just see was going through the motion. There wasn't anything spectacular. There wasn't anything spectacular. It was meh. What? Like, I don't know. It was good, but not great. It was watchable, but not must see. Okay. So then we move on to the 2 women's championship matches, I believe. Maybe there was one more match on AEW. Was there any other matches? I can't recall. Was there a match? I can't really recall whether there was a match, but I will check on my tablet. Give me a second, gentlemen. Just finding. Just finding what the match was too much. Some match for. Yes, I'm just trying to find something. Give me a minute. Something just slipped my mind, and I'm just trying to refresh my memory. That's all, gentlemen. I'll be with you in a minute when IGN stops being extremely stupid. Let's see if this works. Right. Okay, so the 4th match of the card there wasn't. So the Danny Burch match was who versus Pete Dunne. So there were less matches on Dynamite than what there was on NXT. Okay? Which I think her NXT in a way could have tried to oversaturate, in my opinion. They should have left, but to be fair, they did only really do 3 titles. And yeah, so Dynamite did 4, they did 5. So Pete Dunne versus Danny Burch. It was a classic exhibition of British strong style. It was an exhibition of the hard-hitting European style that we have over here, that all the British fans have grown to know and love. We love the more hard-hitting, the stronger, less frills, less BS, hit each other in the face, and beat the living crap out of one another repeatedly. That is what the UK fan loves. Okay? So at the end of the day, I personally thought it was I loved that Priest came out and put a target on Dunne's match, because I can't wait to see the Archer of Infamy versus the Bruiserweight. I can't wait to see where this story arc is going to go. It's going to be freaking beautiful, and I can't wait to see it. It's going to be absolutely crazy. And then we move on to the 2 women's matches. The first one was to crown the inaugural AEW Women's World Champion. And the match was between Riho and Nyla Rose. I personally loved the match. I loved it from start to finish. It was a David versus Goliath. I'm into them kind of matches. I think it was better that they put it on Riho, as she'd been wrestling for 13 years. She's been wrestling since she was 9. She could wrestle rings around most of the women in that ring. Even though she might be younger than them, she's had more time in the Joshi system. She's had more time in wrestling. She's proficient, she knows what she's doing, and she's not a major botch fest. Yes, she had a couple of botches, so did Nyla. Nyla messed up a massive powerbomb. Nyla tried to show off her power, and Riho's speed, skill, agility, and ring awareness and veteran ability is what I feel made that match a spectacular thing, because it was like David versus Goliath. I may only be 5 foot and 120 pounds soaking wet. You might be 5'10" and 250 pounds, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to lose instantly because of the size. It was a great storytelling of David versus Goliath. It was needed, it was amazing, and I personally loved it. It showcased both women. It showcased what we can see from both women, in my opinion. So I personally liked it. Now, moving on to the AEW. No, so still a bit half asleep. Sorry. I'm getting there. I thought I would compost Mentos, I'm clearly not. Like NXT. The submission magician versus Candice LeRae. Okay. I thought it was an amazing match from both women. To me, both women's matches were 5-star. I like the way that it was back and forth, that she was giving Shayna trouble, and Shayna was basically running her down like a bulldog, beating on her. Then Candice was returning the favour. It was showing promise until she got out of a few Kirifuda, so everyone was thinking, is she going to do it? Is she going to do it? Is she going to get over her? Deep down, I'm pretty sure we all knew she wasn't going to go over. But in the moment, as a fan, it made you think, does Candice stand a chance? She got out of the first two Kirifudas. Is she going to get out of the next? No. There was a tremendous amount of back and forth, so it was like both women were on level pegging until Shayna grounded her, slipped the clutch on. It was good night. There's only so many times you can get out of the Kirifuda before it is good night. Vienna. She was out like a light. Done. Finito. I'm gonna pause this on the pause function for a minute, and I will be back briefly. And ladies and gentlemen, I am back. So we are on to the main event: the Undisputed Era versus the Street Profits. And then on AEW's flip side, it was Jericho and Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz, versus the Elite. That was a film match. There is so much to talk about. That's why I'm going to handle the NXT match first on this occasion. It was an amazing match. Both teams put on a show. I liked while they bringing out the Profits through some double doors. I actually enjoyed that. It was a nice touch for a live event. All of it was done perfectly. The whole match was a masterpiece. From bell to bell. The kicks, the knees, the teamwork by both teams, the Street Profits frog splashing and flying everywhere, and the Undisputed Era grounding them with pure wrestling and kicks and their game plan, their style. End of story. They made them their bitch and held on to their championships. Adam Cole waltzes out after the match. Looks down the ramp, and then he congratulates the boys, and then we hear, "No one will survive." And there comes Ciampa. He circles him like a shark circling his prey. I thought that was a genius move by both men. He didn't say a word. He looked dead in his eye. Looked down at Golda and back up at Cole. Down at Golda and back up at him. And I liked the shot at the end where all it was them two staring each other down a barrel. Straight down. Nothing more, nothing less. Straight down. Alright. So, that is my review of NXT. Overall, I will be rating all shows out of 10. So I give NXT an 8. That's from a personal standpoint. Moving over to AEW Dynamite. The match was a load of crazy back and forth between LAX and the Young Bucks. They were putting the hurt on them. Kenny Omega was getting his ass kicked, and then Moxley slides in the ring. Moxley starts beating down on Kenny. It's back and forth all the way up into like a conference room. I think they went through the crowd, if I remember rightly. Then there was a paradigm shift through a glass table. Moxley's just shown how hardcore he can get. Now let's see where Kenny goes, because that's the most intriguing part of this match. The rest of the match was a simple back and forth tag match, really. Some animosity, some tactics, yes. But in my opinion, it was a solid 6-man tag, which quickly got turned into a 3-on-2 handicap match. So the Bucks were never going to win. We never expected the Bucks to win. Nah, nada. Not happening. Nope. Nada. And then when it came back to the ring, the action, I loved the 2 and 3. I loved the beat down, the isolating, and I loved how LAX surrounded to the ropes and surrounded, was it Nick on the floor? No, Matt was on the mat. I like how they Irish whipped. Jericho came across. Judas Effect KO pin. 1, 2, 3. And then Sammy G comes running down the aisle. Everyone wondering what's going on. Starts attacking alongside Santana, Ortiz and Jericho, attacking the guys in the ring. Dustin Rhodes comes running to the ring to help the Young Bucks. They beat him down. I can't remember if Adam came down because it was crazy. If Adam Page came down. Because it was of the tag match next week, I'm going to say he did. Because it was just chaos. I know I remember seeing Brandy trying to pull them apart. Cody were down there. He got beaten up pretty badly. Hager came down. I'm not sure who else came down for Cody's team. And then, when they were all laid out on the floor, Hager, Jericho, Guevara all create a faction. I wonder what this faction is going to be called, and I wonder where they're going to be going with it. Because right now they've just thrown it a bunch of random guys together and made it look like they're a faction group, a unit, a team. Let's see where this goes, Ringsiders. So I give Dynamite a 7.5. The beating at the end was too long. It felt like they kept looking at the clock to, we've still got more time to carry on fighting. Until like the last 30 seconds when they all stood arms up. So to me, they could have took some of the time out of that and put it more on the Cutler MJF match. That's my opinion. Ringsiders, let me know your thoughts and feelings on the Wednesday Night War. I hope to catch you ringside for Hell in a Cell tonight, where hopefully the new week will begin with some people gaining some tremendous amount of points. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been your local neighbourhood favourite Ringsider, Saul, and I will hopefully be coming at you with another review or result soon. I know there will be the results being released later on by Jay, so look out for them. This has been your Wednesday Night War review.